Well, hello, and thank you. This is the Nikki Medoro show. Let me bring down that music a little bit. Hello. I know I've been gone, and I know that you guys are going to know that this is a recording. I'm actually recording this. I just got home. I just got home from my second job in San Francisco. I do thank you all for being understanding. And of course, to the hands down amazing rock star that is Kim McAllister. If you don't know, I do have a second job that I do need in San Francisco where I do anchor the news. And my God, what a week to have a lot of shifts in San Francisco and yet not be here to talk to you guys about it. And I know Kim has. I've been listening to the show. Kevin McCarthy, you guys know what I'm going to say. Couldn't happen to a worse person. I was in San Francisco as the news. I was so much breaking news. There was so much breaking news. And I was watching the vote. And on one hand, just my quick thoughts on the Kevin McCarthy ouster, because I know that it's by the time you're watching this on Thursday, it's, we've digested it. Jesus, Jim Jordan could be it. God, I'm really hoping. It wouldn't surprise me, though. But on Kevin McCarthy, it's as if he never really held the position, right? And I'm not the only one that could think that. It's as if it never really was his because they didn't really want him. It took so many votes to get it. And he never had control. And like I always like to say as well, he's no Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi, the last time she was speaker and made speaker, she had to convince the more progressive wing of the Democratic Party to keep her as speaker. But she didn't make concessions like Kevin McCarthy seemed to have. And he never really got those people on his side. You can debate within the Democratic Party, the platform, the best ideas moving forward. How are we going to achieve some of the things we want to give the American people? Seems like the GOP is just living in Never Land. And if they make Jim Jordan the next speaker, I mean, I forget who it was. Was it Lindsey Graham? One of them people said, if Donald Trump becomes our nominee or the president, that's the end of our party. Something like that. Remember? And it was the truest statement that is held up after all these years. I swear to God. So we'll see. Maybe by Friday. I have no idea. I don't know what's going to happen with the speakership, but I had to get that out. I do love seeing Kevin McCarthy out, though. And you heard what he did, right? You guys heard that the first act, not him. Well, yeah, actually, technically it is him. So the first action of the interim person, Patrick McHenry, Congressman McHenry, was to kick Nancy Pelosi out of her office. So she's an emeritus, and usually the new speaker lets the former speaker kind of have another office. And she gave Dennis Hastert a lot of time to kind of hang out and have this office to do stuff. Well, apparently, because now Kevin's the former speaker, he needs that office. So he told McHenry to send an email through the House whatever committee to Nancy Pelosi to get her crap out of there. Now, she wasn't even there because, of course, she was here in California, honoring the passing of her friend, the late Senator Dianne Feinstein, which was the other huge news that was happening. Watching people walk by the casket of the late senator was quite something. Because I was watching it on the TV when I was in San Francisco, because we just have the live feed up. And I'm telling you, people. Now, as I'm saying this, as I waited, and I didn't wait very long because I got there early to take a picture with Matthew McConaughey. But these people, this line was wrapped around and it moved quickly, according to people that were out there. But I was watching these people and they would just stand in front of the casket. Some of them would do the sign of the cross. Some of them would bow in whatever way they chose to pay their respects. But it was a second. It was like me meeting Matthew McConaughey, like, hello, goodbye. And I'm not saying they needed to, drape themselves over the casket or anything like that. Not that they really knew her. But it fascinated me. This idea of one, paying respect to, and when somebody passes, all these things about that person come up and these stories and all these accomplishments, right? But just to be there for that moment in history, that's what you kept hearing from people that decided to wait, right? Wait in that line in the sun because it's hot in San Francisco this week. Because they wanted to pay their respects to this woman. They respected her. And they also wanted to be part of this moment in history, right? And so that was something that just really, really stood out to me is I don't know if I would. I don't know of anyone that has passed that's like a politician that I would wait in line to see. But the first name that popped into my mind, and I'm not trying to discredit the Senator Dianne Feinstein. I obviously was in San Francisco. I chose not to stay in San Francisco longer and go pay my respects. I do pay my respects from my location. But the only other person I would think that I would want to do, and and I say this and I'm like, unless only if I was in the vicinity for some reason, is former President Barack Obama. I think, if there was a politician that would want to pay my respects to, it would be him. Is there any? You guys can let me know in the comments. Kim's going to read these comments and come back. But yeah, I mean, is there a politician that you're just like, that even maybe has already passed? You're like, I would have loved to have gone and paid my respects to that person. I don't know. I don't know if is it just about, is it celebrity? Is it being having my name in a book, which is also kind of cool. I didn't even think about that. You could sign the book. It's documented that you were there. And it's just, I feel like it's similar to some people's need to graffiti, sign their name on something, scratch their name into something on a tree or a desk or whatever. It seems like we have this urge as a species to leave our mark. Like, I was there, even if I didn't even know her, the late Senator Dianne Feinstein. And many people did. I mean, the stories that I was hearing on the news, I worked with her in this aspect. She did this for me. I'll never forget that story of our interaction. It was brief, but she remembered those sorts of stories. And it's really, it's cool to hear, because sometimes when you follow a politician's life, you see it from one angle. And then when they pass, you hear all of these other stories. So I've been missing you guys, though. I do want to say with all of these breaking news stories, it's been hard to be, anchoring news, but not having this talk show. But I'm just exhausted. I hope you understand that the only reason I'm able to do this is I have a small window of time. And I know that 3 days and then last week as well, it's a long time for me not to be here on the show that literally has my name on it. But again, Kim McAllister is a rock star. And I was listening to the show, Wednesday show. And yes, Kim, I was cracking up about the whole muted, which again, and I'm like double checking now constantly. When you don't have another person on air with you, it's kind of hard to tell if you're muted. And it happens to both of us all the time, but that was just funny. But anyways, I heard Kim also talking about the fact that she likes the fact that she doesn't have to drive to San Francisco. As someone that's been having to wake up at either 2:00 in the morning or 4:00 in the morning, and then of course the commute home, it is exhausting. I appreciate my second job. I appreciate the shifts that they give me. I do need these shifts, so I take them as I can get them. And I do like doing the job. I really do. I really, really like doing it. It takes me back to my news roots, and I appreciate it. But that commute, it slowly kills you. It really, really does. On that note, I wanted to just bring up this one story. And see, this just proves my point. And I know, Kim, I know that, you're making it work. I mean, you kick ass at the show, and then you do Mark Thompson's show, and then you do that amazing after party live with John Daly after that. 5 hours of YouTube shows, live shows, by the way. And that is awesome. And I'm so glad that you're making it work. I have this show. And so I do have to have my second job. But then it makes you wonder, you put in the time, you put in the effort. There's this guy. I'm going to show you this picture real quickly. And okay, he's an older dude, whatever. So here he is. That guy worked for minimum wage for 42 years. For 42 years, this gentleman had a minimum wage salary. He commuted 40 minutes to work each way. And he decided to retire. Okay. And what did his company do for him? They gave him a barbecue, lunch, and a certificate. Well, one of his coworkers posted on social media, of course. Today is my coworker's last day. He worked for this company for 42 years, making minimum wage. The company only threw him a barbecue and gave him a certificate. He takes the bus and BART, which is the train, to get here every day on time. He's over 70. He loves working here so much, he did not want to retire. He got no bonus, just a barbecue and a certificate. And she went on to write, "Don't be a slave to your job. And thank you, John, for your loyalty." Well, apparently, this was viewed as what happens all the time on social media. A ton of people saw it. And so they started a GoFundMe. Now, the woman that posted it said John could not drive because he has a disability, but rain or shine would always make it to work. He was extremely dependable. It had been difficult to convince him to take a break because he always wanted to work. He has no wife or kids, which I'm not saying it makes it easier to work all the time, but it makes it easier to work all the time. No wife or kids, but he does have a nephew whom he loves dearly. She says it would have been nice to give him some kind of company or something to do so he knows he's special. A few days since the GoFundMe was created, it raised about almost 29,000 US dollars. I'm not quite sure the location of where he is. Obviously, this is not in the United States because they put it in US dollars. And so many people were sharing their stories and good messages to John. Of course, he's going to get that money. And I mean, just looks like a nice guy, right? And I bring up this story because life is hard when you have to commute all the time. Splitting my time between this show, San Francisco, and then life is tough. And I'm not making excuses because I love what I do. Can you imagine having to commute an hour each way and not liking what you do? Just as like it's a job, it's not a career, it's not my calling or anything like that. So I do love my job. I appreciate each and every one of you. I have received your emails. I have not fallen off the face of the earth. I've gotten all your praise for Kim as well. So Kim, people adore you and love you. And I know I say it myself. Kim texts me, I text her. This show is way more fun when we're both together. I love bouncing ideas and talking to Kim every day on this show. It's fun. I like it. It's fun. So I'm here as much as I can. And I appreciate the understanding. Also, I do have if you follow me on social media, you already know what I'm about to do. So it's come. Okay. So my mystery box fundraiser, it's less than 2 weeks. And I could tell that you guys are cracking down because so many of you have been snapping up those raffle tickets. Let me just do it again, just in case Kim hasn't, but I'm sure she has. But less than 2 weeks until the drawing for the mystery box fundraiser. It's our 1-year anniversary. All the details are on your screen. But for those that are listening, buy your raffle tickets. They're $20 a piece. You can buy as many as you want. You have to use PayPal because that's how I'm organizing this thing. I'm not using any other way. I have it all on the list. You guys have to understand I have to keep this organized and I want to keep it fair. So go to PayPal, send the money to the email address, thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. The box is full of many of my favorite things. They're arriving. I guess they're wrapping soon. But one of the things, and again, just real quickly, whoever wins on October 17th, the box, if you live within 50 miles or so of me in San Jose, the prize includes a personal delivery by yours truly. I thought that was fair, right? I mean, and I want to meet you guys. But the other thing that I'm going to reveal, and this is not a mystery, that is in the box, is the very first Medorable button. Da, 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 da. All right, there it is. I'm trying to make it clear. Oh, I thought the hand thing worked. Okay, there it is. It says the Nikki Medoro Show. It says Medorable underneath there. Okay, and the coolest thing is it's really bright, but it lights up. It does that one, and then it does that one, and then it does a solid on. You can't see it if the thing's on, but it's really cool. I mean, it's so freaking bright. You could use it as a bike light, I swear. But you put on your hat, put on your button, but it's cute. It's really, really cute. I like it. So you will get the very first Medorable button. That's it. That's a keeper right there. So that's going to be included in the box. So again, get your raffle tickets in. I feel like I need to put an end date. So I'm going to, well, you can't buy tickets on the 17th. Okay. I'm going to say the 15th. And I'll give you warnings ahead of time. But I'm thinking, so what? We have this week and then we have next week. So I'm going to say you got to get it in by Saturday of next week. Not this Saturday, the 7th, but next Saturday, the 14th. You have to get your raffle tickets in and your name. Include your email address, your personal email address. Yes, I can send you a message through PayPal or through PayPal. There's a message button. So check there if you have not heard from me. And I'm trying to get out these, even though I'm working up in San Francisco. I've been trying to stay up on my emails. But give me your personal email address so I can contact you if you're the winner. Okay. And so do all that. Make sure you say that it's for the raffle, include your personal email, $20 a ticket, buy them all up. And the money goes to myself and Kim. It's a fundraiser. It's the only fundraiser we've really done on this show, in addition to the other ways that so many of you support the show, which is, of course, becoming a Medorable. I'm adorable to get the button, right? Going to thenikkimedoroshow.com. My Patreon link is there, and our monthly subscribers really keep this show going. This is the only show I do, and this money goes to myself and to Kim and keeps it going. Say hi, Dylan. See, they're home. I didn't lie to you. Yeah. So, I'm on mom duty here. I just got home from San Francisco. And somebody just got home from school as well. But I thank you all for doing that. And it's a good time on the show, and I want to keep it going for a very long time. There were some other things that I wanted to squeeze in, and I feel like I'm taking way too long, but I'm sure Kim doesn't mind since she's been by herself this whole time. So keep track of these comments, and then Kim can read the comments after, because that's the part that I also miss, by the way. For those of you saying record the show, which this is fun, but I miss you guys. I miss Kim. I miss the comments. So I wanted to give you guys just a little bit of me because so much has been happening this week and I've been wanting to just let it out. But yeah, it's way more fun live. So that's why Kim does the show live, and that's why I like the show to be live as well. But the other day, and I also posted this on my social media feed, the Kaiser strike has been going on, right? And so my daughter needed her medication for her Crohn's. And so I was like, shoot. And normally I'm ahead of time and I get it, but it has just been, again, just my mind's been going a mile a minute. And so it's like, I have to go pick it up right now. There's no delay. She needs her medicine today. And so I go into my local Kaiser pharmacy, because I have Kaiser. And normally, now I posted it on social media, people are like, it's the afternoon, it's normally busy. This particular one, yes, it can get busy, but it just seems like the line was intensely long. I was like, what the hell? And this was Tuesday. Like, what the? No, today's Tuesday. No, today's Wednesday. Again, I have no idea what day it is. It was Tuesday. And I was like, why is it so busy? And it was because the strike was starting Wednesday. And I mean, it took a while. And all the people were asking, like, am I going to be able to come get a prescription tomorrow? What should I tell my family members? No. So it's good to know it's a 3-day strike. So you know when it's ending so people can prepare. But that's, again, the thing about strikes. We've been talking a lot about strikes lately, between the Kaiser strike, obviously the writers and actors strike. You need to make a point. Now, is a 3-day strike kind of, okay, it's 3 days, it's over, we'll take a little pain and it's not going to do anything? I think it will. Because believe me, today, tomorrow, when people can't get their prescriptions, and it's the doctors and the nurses are not part of the strike, but when they can't do these things that they need, like, I need this today, they're going to feel it and they're going to make their feelings known. Did you also see, speaking of strikes, that Drew Barrymore's writers are not coming back to the show? I think I have a picture of them. So here they are. So Chelsea White and Christina Kinnon, they're right there. They're arrowed. They're on the strike lines. One of them's holding a sign with the scream monster that says, "Do you like breaking strikes?" And the other one has Drew's News Strikes, Drew's WGA crew. Apparently she really pissed him off. Because remember, she was going to come back. She was trying to make up this excuse on why she had to come back, and she did not have to come back. Well, the trio of co-head writers who worked on the Drew Barrymore show pre-strike have turned down offers to come back to work for her syndicated daytime program. They're trying to hire other people. They've been working on the show since season 1. So these aren't newbies. Well, I think she's going to be in her 3rd season, right? Now, while the WGA strike was going on, they were seeing these writers picketing outside of the CBS NYC offices. And when Drew announced she was prematurely bringing her show back, a couple of them openly expressed disappointment in their boss. Now, of course, Drew changed course. She did that stupid video where she's like, I had to come back. And then she pulled that and she's like, that was a stupid thing to do. So now Drew has no key writers. She doesn't know when she's going to come back. Her official return date was just announced as October 16th. And we'll see. Can she do it without her head writers? She might be the face, She might be the face, but there's a lot of people that go in to making a talk show. Some of them don't use that many writers. Some of them write their own stuff. I do not write anything. I mean, I have my stories and things like that, but I come up with all of my own opinions. There's no comedy writer for me. I'm just that funny. No, just kidding. But yeah, so Drew Barrymore, she's pretty much up a creek right now. And I think that she really made the wrong decision doing that, but we'll see. So October 16th, the day before the raffle drawing, Drew Barrymore is supposed to come back. I did get your email, Lori and Calvin. Both of you sent me the story about the late night shows returning. And Lori, if you haven't seen Kimmel, she sent me this clip and she told me to fast forward a cute, really cute clip of a kid talking about, or kids being interviewed about what is money. It was one really, really smart kid. But, those sorts of skits and setups and stuff like that, it's clever. It's fun. I don't watch late night TV. I depend on Lori and Calvin and other people to watch it for me and send me the funny clips. But they're back. It's all coming back. And, the actors obviously need to work out what they're doing, but fingers crossed that they get what they want, because especially when we're talking about things like AI and things like that. One more story quickly that I wanted to do. Last Saturday, yeah, I took my daughter homecoming dress shopping. We do have a dress. Kim, I'll show it to you later because I'm not showing it yet. It's really cute. It's very typical of what's in style right now. The funny story, though, was we couldn't. We went with some friends, and we couldn't find a dress for one of my daughter's friends at the first store we went to. Of course, we went back to said store and ended up finding it there. So then we decided to walk around the mall, and there was a Macy's. And I am telling you, people, Macy's back in my day, it used to be the place. Like, yeah, Jessica McClintock, other places, but Macy's was definitely at the top of the list. Go look there. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying we went to Oak Ridge. If you know San Jose, Oak Ridge Mall compared to Valley Fair Mall, it's much smaller. The Macy's is much smaller. When I had gone to Valley Fair's Macy's, it was bigger. There was a better selection. When I went to Oak Ridge's Macy's, it was no bueno. So we walk in, and the minute I see the dresses, I know there's no freaking way these girls are going to want us to have anything. And they're literally pulling these dresses off and straight up saying, there is no way in hell that I'm buying a dress from Macy's. And they were saying in a way in which I realized the brand is what they consider old. If I would have taken, some of the dresses did seem matronly or just not their style, but some of them I was like, that's fine. It's just that it's in this store. Well, Macy's, if you haven't seen, is going to be experimenting or expanding. They do this already, but they're expanding the number of these little small strip mall Macy's. And the only thing that pops up into my mind, okay, I'm going to show you a picture. The only thing that I think of when I see this is Mervyn's. That's what I think of. Oh, the stupid computer's not letting me upload it. I just keep thinking of Mervyn's. So remember Mervyn's. What else? Kohl's. Even though Kohl's is kind of big, I think that Macy's is going to have a smaller footprint, but maybe something similar to Kohl's. But Macy's is what I really think of. And they're just going to be in strip malls. And so it's going to be like Market by Mervyn's or Bloomies by Mervyn's, or not Mervyn's, by Macy's. So Market by Macy's, Bloomies by Macy's. I don't know if that's going to work. I mean, my daughter likes Windsor, Garage, Rave, stores I've never heard of before, right? They're just these tiny little kind of boutique-y type of stores. And I mean, a little bit bigger than a boutique store, but still not Macy's, not Nordstrom, not something like that. So I don't know. I don't know if Macy's is going to be able to kind of appeal to the younger person, because that's going to be vital. Because I don't know about you, but as an older woman, not an old woman, but an older woman, Macy's isn't at the top of my list anymore. So if it's not at the top of my list, it sure as hell is not going to be at the top of my daughter's list as she gets older, especially when she starts getting her own money and those sorts of things. So I don't know. I mean, maybe this rebranding is necessary, and you're also competing with the internet. I mean, fast fashion, it is an abomination. It is totally environmentally destructive in all sense of the word, from the beginning to the end. If fast fashion is the worst. So I'm not kind of promoting that sort of thing, but people like it. The Shein stores and all that kind of stuff. they like it. They're using it. And so if you're comparing, getting a dress from Shein for $20 and going to Macy's and trying to pay 60 to 80, I don't know, 100 even. I don't think you're going to get very many people. All right. I will be back tomorrow. There was actually honestly, my job in San Francisco, they are desperate for workers. There was almost a chance I wasn't even going to be here on Friday, but I'm going to be here on Friday. I am going to be here on Friday. I just keep putting that out there. I do love being here. I miss you guys so very much. Tomorrow is Friday. That means Tim Sika. Oh, and I cannot wait. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the email that I received from Tim Sika includes him doing a preview and having seen the new Exorcist movie because it's coming out. They actually moved the date up because they didn't want to compete with the Taylor Swift movie that was coming out. And so, yeah, that's happening. I hope that Tim has seen it. Fingers crossed that he's seen it because I really want to see it. If he hasn't seen it, I'll give you my review next week. But I should be here tomorrow. Again, thank you guys so very much for just being here and being patient with me and understanding that I do have two jobs, but I love all of you guys. Please click the thumbs up button, show your support of the show. I'm sure the super chat is live and everything else. And I love you guys. Stay right here. Kim has more. Thanks.
All right. Well, it is the Nikki Medoro show. And that was Nikki Medoro. I was going to try to start with music. That's not working out for me very well. Good morning, you guys. I was so happy to get that that video from Nikki last night. And I feel so put together. I had time to put on a little makeup. I'll eat a little breakfast. It's great. And Nikki will be back tomorrow. And I'm so grateful to her for taking the time when she got home yesterday to leave us that video with her thoughts of everything. I saw you guys in the chat. Your kind words, so nice. I know the show is better when we're both here, when Nikki gets to be here as well. And so I'm looking forward to that. And yes, Square, the show is on. I'm so thankful for you guys being here. First thing I would love for you to do is to click the like button. If there was a love button, I would love if you to click the love button too, but I'll start with the like button. If you're here and you haven't subscribed, please do it. Please hit subscribe as well. We are trying to grow the show on what is nearly our 1-year anniversary. And you heard Nikki talking about the raffle. So please, if you want to participate in our 1-year anniversary fundraiser, that is something we are doing as well. And I figured something out yesterday. Some people are having an issue trying to get the PayPal thing to go through because we have done something a little confusing. So the website that we have for the show, where you can find the Patreon link and all kinds of links, right? It's thenikkimedoroshow.com. But that's not how you PayPal us. If you're going to PayPal us the $20 to be in the raffle, it's the email address, which is similar to the website, but you go to paypal.com and then you email thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. So that may be why some people are having some trouble. Anyway, the clock is ticking on that. Nikki just threw down a deadline. So the technical anniversary of the show is October 16th. And I have a feeling that she's going to pick a winner out of the fishbowl on October 16th, which means if you want to participate, get it in by October 15th at the very earliest, or at the very latest, I should say, so that you're participating if you want to participate. Okay, enough said. Well done. Harry, I hope you're working from home today. I love it when you don't have to commute. Harry, I love the Kim McAllister show. I can almost sing about it. Kimbaya, indeed. Thank you, Harry. You're the sweetest, and I love your jokes. Wonderful. Thank you for the $5 super sticker. What a great way to start out the show. Very grateful. You guys are so nice. Harry, you're so nice. So thank you for that. Okay. One of the things I wanted to show you was yesterday. I've been following the case out of New York, right? With Trump on the steps and talking smack and the limited gag order and everything happening in this fraud trial. Because what I understand is the judge already said all the documents show unequivocally that he committed fraud and that his sons committed fraud. So now the question is, and that a caretaker has to be appointed to oversee the Trump organization's dealings within the state of New York. So the trial now is going to set the stage for how much of a penalty is levied against Trump and company. The Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, wants it to be $250 million. I think million, right? The judge doesn't have to do that. He could say less or he could say way more. So that's what will be interesting to see. And from everything I've heard, hitting Trump in the pocketbook is what hurts the most. More than the threat of prison or anything else, it's taking my money. Yeah. So that's interesting. But in the last 2.5 days that Trump has shown up for trial, because yesterday he bailed halfway through, he has stood on the courthouse steps talking smack against the judge, who, by the way, will be deciding the case. Is that wise? One has to ask. Talking smack about the person who holds the fate of your company in his hands. Maybe you should be nice. That's I don't know, just say. Maybe you should show him that everything he's heard about you is not true. But no. So apparently he's also, well, we know, not apparently, obviously, he's also been talking smack about New York Attorney General Letitia James. And so yesterday, she let him have it and decided to stand up for herself. And it's interesting because she doesn't seem to do this very often. But she did do it yesterday. And it's not very long, but I think it lets people know, it lets Trump and company know, you're not going to intimidate me. Here, take a listen. This is thanks to CNN.
This case was brought simply because it was a case where individuals have engaged in a pattern and practice of fraud. And I will not sit idly by and allow anyone to subvert the law. And lastly, I will not be bullied. And so Mr. Trump is no longer here. The Donald Trump show is over. This was nothing more than a political stunt, a fundraising stop. And now we can continue to go forward with our trial, and we are confident that justice will be served. Thank you all for coming.
That's right. So basically, we understand what you're doing, Trump. You're using it as a fundraising stop. And now that you're gone, we can get back to the business of the people. Sayonara, sucker, you're out. So I love it. You know what I really enjoy? Look, there's nothing wrong with white women. We're all right. But you've got these two really strong black women who won't take S, right? You've got Letitia James in New York, and you got Fani Willis down in Georgia. And neither one of them are taking any crap from Trump, and I love it. So that's happening in the great state of New York. But I thought that was interesting, and just bravo for her standing up and saying, I will not be bullied. I will not. Nope. Excellent. Of course, Nikki just talking about everything going on with the House speakership. What a mess. Because now the business of the House is in complete disarray. I was reading this article, the CNN article, the title of which, House Business is on Ice Without Speaker. Did they think of that? I mean, this whole, personalities and I don't like you and I don't like you. And if you don't do it my way, then the highway, all of this. But honestly, you can't get anything done now. You hamstrung the business of the people. And if most of the people have voted more Republicans than Democrats in, didn't you have a deal with America? We sent you there. I mean, I didn't send the Republicans there, but collectively, we sent you there to do the business of the people. And you can't even get that done? So what the article says now is that the House of Representatives is stuck in a freeze frame, a giant blue screen declaring them in recess for almost the entire day. The interim speaker can't do very much, it turns out. No. The interim speaker adjourned the chamber on Wednesday at 3:25 p.m. Without an elected speaker, the House is struggling to figure out what it can even do. So Patrick McHenry, who was on the number one on the list that McCarthy left to sit in for him while he was gone and now out, apparently can perform tasks like recessing the House, adjourning the chamber, recognizing speaker nominations, and not much else. Apparently, he didn't even have the authority to send the letter kicking Nancy Pelosi out of her offices in the Capitol building. Didn't realize the limitations of the new acting speakership, did you? No. And so, because he can't do very much, because he's not really the speaker, the business of the people is on hold. Well, that was wise. Bunch of buffoons. Really. Given the status of chaos, according to one person, the White House might not have any incentive to cooperate with any subpoenas when talking about the whole impeachment inquiry, right? You don't actually have an organized House right now. So it would be easy to completely ignore subpoenas because there's no enforcement authority. The House Oversight Chair, James Comer of Kentucky, is a real winner, that one, says we're going to continue to read emails, text messages, put together timelines, try to get people to come in. We're going to keep working like we've been working and continue to follow the money. Okay. But all the committee meetings are getting canceled for the remainder of the week. Some members are trying to figure out if they should stay. Some booked last-minute flights home to their home districts. I'm telling you, it's like, did they even think of what was going to happen? Did they even care? What a mess. What an absolute mess. So, according to the House Foreign Affairs Chairman, Michael McCall, who's a Republican from Texas, he says, now we have to spend time deciding what we're going to do. You've thought of that before. What's the next step? Who's the next speaker going to be? And in the meantime, we lose all the floor time to get appropriation bills passed. North Dakota Republican Kelly Armstrong says, until we figure out how we have another Speaker of the House, everything stops. No one knows what's going to happen next. It's a state of paralysis. Oh, Lord. Honestly. Bunch of idiots. I mean, okay. That's the way it seems like to me. I don't, of course, don't want to call anybody names. Far be it from me to do that. But it just seems like so silly. Could Republicans could still be advancing their agenda even if they don't like the guy sitting in the top seat. So something else I wanted to talk about, and Nikki touched on it as well, is Nancy Pelosi, who is in San Francisco for the memorial of Dianne Feinstein and did go past the casket yesterday. And she got really emotional. She's here to speak at Feinstein's service today. And there are pictures of her hugging the casket of Dianne Feinstein. She looks very emotional as she's stopping in. You can imagine. I mean, this is a friend, a good friend. And most of us at this point have had loved ones that have passed away. But it's sad to see it displayed like that in public. And I just feel for her. I mean, you work for a long time with a colleague like that. That's a hard one. Let me show you a little bit of what happened there as Dianne Feinstein lied in state at San Francisco City Hall. Here's a little bit of that footage. You can see that's Nancy Pelosi in the purple. and hugging the casket of Dianne Feinstein. She's there with Dianne Feinstein's daughter as well. And that's Paul Pelosi off to the left by Nancy Pelosi, putting kisses on the casket. Yeah. So, just wanted to share that moment with you. Kind of a sad, poignant moment. There was a lot going on with the memorial for Senator Feinstein. It was supposed to be held at the Herbst Theater, and then they were going to make it open to the public and do it on the steps of San Francisco City Hall so that people could come. But last night, according to KTVU, the memorial is now no longer open to the public because of increased security. The office of Dianne Feinstein issuing that statement at 5 o'clock last night, saying the change is due to increased security. Well, there must have been some type of security threat. They didn't say exactly what. But now only invited guests will have access to this memorial service. How sad, right? When the public wants to come out and pay respects and honor the senator. And now we collectively can't do that. We can't have nice things again. I don't know if you saw this story. This is another one of those, really? But Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee, she that used to be the spokesperson for the Trump White House, is sparking an audit because she decided that it was a good idea to spend nearly $20,000 of taxpayer money on a lectern. Like you stand behind a little podium, like a lectern. $19,029 for this lectern. It is a wood-paneled blue lectern. And she put it on a credit card for the state of Arkansas. Oh, thank you. The Arkansas taxpayers needed that nearly $20,000 lectern. Appreciate it. Do these people not understand? Or is it like, oh, it's taxpayer money. That's free money to me. Do you have a responsibility to spend the taxpayers' money wisely? It's our collective resource. $20,000 for a lectern. Come on. The Arkansas Republican Party reimbursed the state last month for this lectern. One of the Republicans there, this state senator in Arkansas, Jimmy Hickey, requested the audit. He said, from my experience, where we're at with this particular thing, we need to allow a legislative audit go in. Everybody knows them. They do their work. They're very thorough. They produce a detailed report that comes to the legislature through an open committee. Like, that's my Arkansas accent. But questions about this lectern, how much it cost, how it was purchased, even whether it really even existed, have been batted around in Arkansas. I don't know. And I don't, you know what I don't understand is why it costs so much, because it's not even that special. And it doesn't seem like a lectern is that fancy of a piece of gear that it would cost this much money. Honestly. I mean, you slap a few pieces of wood, maybe put some wire in so a microphone can work out. And that should be the end of it. I think so. I mean, I don't know why it would cost so much money. But let me show you a picture of this. I'm going to round up $20,000 lectern. There you go. Yeah, 20 grand. Really? Wood paneling on the front. So it's got a couple pieces of wood there on the bottom and some blue material. Wiring for a microphone. $20,000? All right. Very fancy lectern. Hope it was worth it. That should be embarrassing, shouldn't it? Shouldn't Sarah Huckabee Sanders be embarrassed that as someone who's supposed to be a caretaker for the money of the people of Arkansas that she decided to blow through it like a shopping spree at Nordstrom on a Sunday afternoon? Really? Yeah. These things outrage me. So there's the lectern. $20,000 lectern. Yeah. Now we got an audit over the lectern. Good job, Sarah. Well done. I'm sure your taxpayers really appreciate you very much right now. All right. Get the lectern out of there. Really? Okay. Well, that's what she's got to do. That's what she's got to do, right? There's another story that I saw, and this one is out of the Press Democrat, and it's about discrimination. There's a company, an online business resource, and it's called Hello Alice. And they have a grant program that supports Black business owners. It is they do work with Progressive Insurance Company, and they're offering $25,000 in grants to 10 Black-owned small businesses. They did that earlier this year. And there's a lawsuit now, a class action lawsuit, against Hello Alice, claiming discrimination against business owners based on race. So I don't know if it's white people, it seems like, or what, standing up and saying, you can't say we're only going to give grant money to the Black businesses and not the white businesses or the Asian businesses or the Latino businesses or whatever other kind of businesses you can think of, indigenous businesses, Asian Pacific Islander businesses, whatever, that you single out one race. But I ask this, then. And technically, maybe it is discriminating if you're giving something to one group of people and saying everyone else is not eligible to apply. But if you're a white business, hasn't it historically always been your day to apply for whatever grant, whatever, good things are coming your way? I'm just saying, is there ever a time that you look around and you take one for the team because you know that it's always been your time, and that at this moment, perhaps it's nice to give someone else a hand up and let it be their time? Is it? Not is it? It is selfish to file a lawsuit like this because you're upset that you can't apply for the money. Did you not look at history? Are you not aware that we've been holding people down and that maybe it's time to try to lift people up? So while technically they may be right, morally, I think they're in an inferior position filing this lawsuit. So Hello Alice, in their defense, is saying it's part of a wider campaign by conservative organizations to push back against all recent diversity and equity measures in corporate decision-making, and that this whole thing here in the North Bay could wind up as a test case on this topic. So the lawsuit was filed in August, actually in Ohio, by America First Legal, Mitchell Law, and Ashbrook Byrne Kresge. And I think they should be embarrassed. It accuses Progressive Insurance's Driving Small Business Forward Fund program of unlawful discrimination because non-Black owned small businesses were not allowed to apply. Found this story, by the way, in the Press Democrat, which is a paper here in the North Bay. The lawsuit lists an Ohio resident, Nathan Roberts, who owns an Ohio-based trucking dispatch company called Freedom Truck Dispatch, as the plaintiff, and Progressive, the insurance company, Progressive Casualty Insurance, the company that operates Hello Alice, as defendants. Roberts is white, has a commercial policy from Progressive, received an email from the company offering 10 grants of 25 grand each to Black-owned small business owners to be put toward purchasing a commercial vehicle. He's like, wait a minute. Well, I want a commercial vehicle, but I can't apply because I'm white. Roberts did not realize the grant was available only for Black-owned small businesses, so he filled out the application. Yeah, you didn't realize, right? Until he reached the part that emphasized that the grants were for Black-owned businesses. And then he gets all pissed off, apparently not realizing that he's had a leg up on everybody for decades. I just, okay. It's the whole Black Lives Matter argument all over again. Well, all lives matter. Yes, true, all lives matter, except all lives aren't the ones at risk. Black lives are the ones at risk, which is why we need to lift them up and keep them safe, which is why we need to lift them up and make sure that they're financially equal to everyone else. It's not that hard to understand. I mean, if I can understand it, it seems like other people should be able to, but people don't want to give. They don't want to give for the mistakes of the past. They don't want to fix. They just want mine, mine, mine. It's a selfish way of living and looking at the world. Me first. Yeah, well, that's going to fix the world. Calm. Activists at America First Legal are using their lawsuit against Hello Alice to support their efforts to fundraise, apparently. Our values are not gentle-sounding euphemisms. These are the pillars upon which we built Hello Alice, they say, and guide our mission to drive capital, connections, and opportunities into the hands of small businesses of all types and backgrounds. And they write, all Americans deserve to be free from racial discrimination. Yet major corporations across the United States inject racial considerations into every aspect of their business operation, employment practice, and so much more. So America First Legal will fight to vindicate the rights of this person and the rights of all similarly situated Americans. What do you think about this? I mean, do you think the guy's got a point? And he should be able to apply for it too? Heather, I just really like you a lot. Won't somebody think of the white man? Wah! I love myself a white man. I married one. Okay? My dad's one. My brother-in-law is one. My uncle's one. My son is one. I love a white man. Honestly, I do. Okay? But it's time for the white people to give a little bit. Please. Jennifer, hey, you want to make the wedding cake for everybody? Or do you want to exclude the gays? Similar, right? Similar situation. Yes, CTB. Welcome. Hi. That means will men start a lawsuit for people giving out grants to women only? Right. Truth. Carrie says some people are such snowflakes. If we have this mentality of, you can't say that. You can't only give it to the black people. You can't only give it to the women. You can't only give it to the gays. You can't only give it to pick a group of people that are somehow marginalized or don't have the opportunities that historically the core group of people have always had. And how do we ever get to the point where, I've heard it said that the only true equality is economic equality. I buy it. So if we don't do things like this, how do we ever give anyone a leg up to achieve that equality? I get it that you're upset that you're not eligible. I know you want the scholarship. I know you want the job. I know they may want to hire a certain number of diverse candidates for the police department or the fire department, and that it means this time you got to sit it out. I get that. It's no fun. But can we look beyond our own individual situation to maybe the collective good? Can we do that? Because we're not going to fix anything or ever get anything better. Or do you just then want to take what's yours and then sit in your house filled with hate and not be a giver? Yeah, Kevin. The white people need to stop keeping them down. Said as a white person. Nothing against white people. A lot of us are really nice, I think. Look at the chat. We're filled with the nice people here. This is why I love you guys. This is a nice chat. Joe says being white is a handicap now. It may be. I think there's still enough opportunities for all people that you can find your way in the world. And I don't mind if it's a little harder. I don't mind if my kid has to, do some extracurricular activities and get stellar grades in order to be competitive to get into college. Or maybe has to go to junior college first. She'll still make it in this world. He'll still make it in this world. They both will. I don't mind that if it means other people that historically have not been able to achieve are able to achieve. We all have to give somewhere in order to make this work. I don't know why that's so hard to swallow for some people. He was filling out the application until he got to the part where it said, "We don't mean you, sir." Wes, your kindness blows me away. You are so nice and supportive, and I honestly am so grateful for you. Wes Theory with a $5 super sticker, always supporting this show. With the super stickers and even with Patreon and in other ways as well. And always here to offer great thoughts. So Wes, thank you for that. All the way from Florida, by the way. Oh, nice. Kim C says, sadly, it will never change unless we change it for the kids and their education. We have to focus on human similarities. Harry with his bad southern drawl voice. It's okay, I tried to do it too. It's time y'all white men rise up and throw off the shackles of oppression. Seriously? Right. Lady Beatrice says, let's throw in age for extra credit. Okay. I'm a non-traditional student in a university and I feel discriminated all the time. I'm sorry that you feel discriminated against. But I'm proud that you're doing it anyway and that you're going to school. So good. Never too late. SF Tesla says, just try to work in this town without having diversity training CRT classes given by your employers. It's funny, KGO used to give them, but they were really stupid. I took them anyway, but I bitched my way through it. But I did it. We all have to. And if it helps somebody learn something, that's great. Perry Joe Jim Bob says, don't call me nice. I'm proud of my grump. Perry Joe Jim Bob, you are nice. I know. I've seen it happen. John Slade writes, it's a case of racism coming home to roost. The government and businesses try to make up for past racism, where blacks and other groups were prevented from getting grants and loans. Is that discrimination? And if it is, how do we make it right? And is it fair to today's business owners? Is it fair to the owner of the trucking company who isn't eligible for the 25 grand? No, but cry me a river. Cry me a river. Yeah. Eric writes, try being pulled over by a cop while being black. Yeah, I guess there's a discrepancy here in the chat. All right. Vilma, good morning to you, writes, a lot of people don't like being left out because it wasn't their ancestors that owned slaves, and this is the justification. Yeah, I didn't do it, so why am I being punished and penalized? Because we all have to work together to make sure that we're economically equal. That's why. That's why. Oh, Joe Blow, I'm not like loving your comments, I have to say. Um, no, I don't think we're dumbing down schools. I don't think that's the case. So, yeah, please use kindness. And if you're, I know we're talking about racism and singling out other groups, but I can't have that not being kind. Mm-mm. Warning, verbal warning. You got warning number one. Timeout is coming next. I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate that everyone has a different opinion, but uh, I don't want to have this be a, you know, pot stirring for racism kind of thing. Ashton writing, how is it white people are being considered a handicap when white people are in positions of power? Gatekeeping entry into education and jobs. Sorry, you're experiencing a small inconvenience, but welcome to our everyday. That's exactly right. You just said it better than me. I'm, don't have that experience. And I get that. I understand that about myself. And I still think, and if even I can understand that, what the hell's wrong with the guy at the trucking company? That's right. And I think Ashton, being white, they're saying is considered a handicap because right now, at this moment, say you really wanted to be a firefighter, but because of diversity measures, the fire department has been told they need to hire a certain number of diverse candidates, right? And so maybe you had nothing to do with the hiring policies of the past, but you're paying for it today. And so there's a feeling of unfairness. And whether it's valid or not, I think it's important to understand it and that's why there's some anger here. But I would say to those that are angry, exactly what Ashton's saying. Consider the history. Consider who's still making the hiring choices. And consider that historically people have not received government jobs or there's been like one black guy at the fire department, right? So yeah. Spencer says the equity movement goes overboard at times. Maybe. Do we mind though? I mean, sometimes there are things that don't make sense that maybe feel like a little do-gooder, but I'll take do-gooder because at least then people know that we as a society are trying to make things right and make things better for people. That's what I want. When you see these riots after a police officer is found, not to have to face any charges for killing some black person on the street, and whether it's warranted or not, right? Whether the charges should have been warranted or not the issue. But afterward, when you see people so angry and so upset that they feel another injustice, it's because of injustice after injustice after injustice, and yet another slap in the face. So if I got to bend over backwards and say, hey, listen, we're going to really try to make this a diverse department. And then I show that that's true. And maybe I go a little overboard. And maybe in doing so, I repair a little bit of the hurt feelings over the years. Not that it could ever be fully repaired. Then what's wrong with that? We got to do something to fix race relations. Is that the way we start? I tell you, it's not by the trucking company guy deciding to sue. Vicky talking about, I don't agree with lowering standards, though, whether for firefighters or for school. No, absolutely not. I don't agree with lowering standards either, but all things being equal, and someone who could do a great job, if I'm up for a job, let's put it this way. There weren't very many black people employed at KGO, right? There were some. But when you looked out at that newsroom, it was majority white faces. And I was grateful for the job. Did it for more than 20 years at that station. Loved every moment of it. But when you have people of diverse backgrounds in a newsroom, you're going to have different stories on the air. you're going to hear different perspectives. The things, even in news, the things that make it on the air may be different. And hearing those things, very important, rather than the sea of white people giving you the same stories. And I realized by saying that, that I'm talking about myself. Because if you put an African American woman and me right next to each other, we may both come up with a different story idea, and neither one are wrong. But hearing from a perspective that we don't normally hear from, incredibly valuable. So if I walked into a newsroom for a job today, and all things being equal, it was me and a black woman who is equally as capable, but brings a whole different set of ideas and a different perspective, I wouldn't be upset if she got the job over me, because her voice has historically not been heard at major market radio and TV stations. So I get that. And is that me taking one for the team? Maybe it's just time to hear a different voice. We all have to give. Ashton writes, I understand the experience of unfairness. Of course, because people of color have been experiencing that forever. Yes, because people of color have been experiencing this since birth. We're thinking alike. I can't tell you the countless times I've seen people of color experience inequities and still don't ever get a fair shot. Infuriating. I'm going to keep going with you, Ashton. With the mass layoffs, people of color were disproportionately effective, and even then were barely represented in these companies. Wonder why no company has released their diversity reports this year. Is that true? That's the kind of story I wasn't attuned to. I had no idea. No idea. If you have a story on that, Ashton, please send it to me. I'd love to talk more about it. You can email me, kim@theafterparty.live. kim@theafterparty.live. Would love to see it. Lori, good morning to you, Lori, writes, it took generations for wealth gap to happen, so it will likely take generations to fix. Yeah, this is not something that can be cured, legal speak, in one generation. No, we're gonna, as white people, have a little bit of pain in order to get to the place where there's economic equality. Pardon me. And I don't know why that's so hard to get. CTB. We also need to realize a lot of these companies know their clients and what they have going, and that's how sometimes they base their decisions on money and who to give it to. Yeah. William writing, I work in tech. My workplace is pretty diverse, and it has been for years. Awesome, William. Good job. My husband works in tech, and we were talking about diversity the other day. It's interesting because he worked for a small company owned by an American who is originally from the country of India. And so he's like one of two white people at the company, right? And so in his case, he goes to work and he's the minority. And it's just really an interesting perspective to finally see things from a different vantage point. Spencer says, diversity is needed for us to bond as a society. Yeah. Vilma, isn't it wonderful that on this forum we can exchange ideas without the consideration as to one's ethnicity unless you deem it to be known? It's true. And I think, though, that I love the back and forth in here, and I love the exchanging of ideas. But I also love that we all come from different places. Many of us are in different parts of the Bay Area. Some of us are from different states. Some people are even from different countries. We're of all different religions, clearly of all different races. So what a great place to exchange ideas. And, even if we're sitting in our little white bubble, to be able to hear what Ashton has to say, where it might not be a conversation we would normally get to have. That's also very valuable. Luis writing, okay, the intellectual empty vessel appointed by Trump to the Supreme Court. Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, all of this, all white. Are you going to tell me this bunch of Mensas didn't receive preferential treatment? Yes, because they wouldn't have risen to the top without the preferential treatment, right? Hello, Louise, you're awesome. Thank you for that. Oh, Lord. Um, Thank you for that conversation. And you know what, Joe Blow? Again, I value you here. It seems like I didn't give you a timeout, but it seems like you went away. And I appreciate your perspective. It's just, you know, I don't think we need to get ugly about stuff, is what I'm saying. So, I hope I didn't scare you away, but I hope that I did scare you into being polite and thinking about what you type before you type it. So that's what I have to say about that. Can you hear about this one? This is, remember, I have somewhere, I have mine. You know the little white COVID cards that we all had? They don't lose it. And some people had to laminate it and you had to keep it in your wallet. And sometimes you had to show it at the airport. And I had to show it when I went to see my children perform at a local theater. You know, a COVID vaccine card. Done. You don't need it anymore, apparently. They are a thing of the past. We no longer need the COVID vaccine card. Say goodbye to it. The CDC has stopped printing them. It is the end of an era, they say, for the once critical pandemic document. You don't have to have that anymore. The white COVID-19 vaccine cards are being phased out. The cards that were distributed by the federal government that you had to bring to wherever you got your vaccine so they could say, oh, boosted on such date. And you put it in your wallet. If anybody asked for it, you pull it out and prove that you were vaccinated. Fine. I had no problem with that either. But now the CDC has stopped printing new cards. They're a thing of the past and we no longer need them. It's kind of a bit of a historical document. In 100 years, you know, they're going to be pulling these out of whatever file document. Oh, look, it's one of those COVID vaccine cards. Yeah, that's it. I thought that was interesting. I have mine in my wallet just in case somebody needs to see it. Speaking about, and Ashton was just talking about layoffs, there's still tech layoffs going on around the Bay Area. You had 2 tech giants laying off more workers. The cuts keep on coming. Meta, they keep going out, you know, layoff after layoff there. And the Twitch division of Amazon laid off additional workers in the last week as well. So we're not done with the tech industry. Meta apparently had 21,000 job reductions overall. And they say it could take through the end of the year in order to get everyone out. So Amazon San Francisco video game streaming website Twitch laid off an unspecified number of employees this week as well. They didn't comment. Apparently, that most of the layoffs at Twitch came from the customer experience division. Oops. So I was just mentioning that this is still a problem. We have more information about the swimmer. Remember we reported earlier this week the swimmer that was seen being attacked by a shark off the coast of Marin, Point Reyes National Seashore area, a Wildcat Beach it was. And they couldn't find the swimmer. Like maybe it looks like the person either was eaten by the shark or drowned and after being attacked and was not able to be found. Well, now we know a little bit more about this person. His name is Felix Luis Njai, N'Jai. He's being identified not by authorities, but by friends, and also by a publication for kite surfing. He was a big, big kite surfer. So Njai, who's 52, was a native of Gambia. They call it the Gambia. He came to the United States to study computer engineering at the University of Pennsylvania. He was enthralled with kite surfing, which he loved to do near Crissy Field in San Francisco and in Hood River, Oregon every summer. And he was training as a hopeful to represent the Gambia in the Olympics, his friends say. So he was with his buddies at Wildcat Beach off Point Reyes, celebrating a recent wedding, when witnesses say he was attacked by a shark while in the water. And as of yesterday, recovery efforts were continuing, but they can't find him. And it's a really sad situation, this guy. He was an entrepreneur, a tech entrepreneur in San Francisco. Apparently, he was a really fun guy, too. He wasn't married, didn't have any kids, and his parents had both passed away. So it was just him. And he managed to create, when people have kind of a life where they're on their own, maybe for whatever reason, their family has excommunicated them, or maybe like this person, their family had passed away. But they managed to create a group of friends that becomes like family, kind of choose your own family kind of situation. That's what happened here. He had this friends talk about, and I mention it because I'm so impressed when people do this. Created this group of friends that got together for games on Thanksgiving and on holidays, and really created his own network of people. Here he is. His name is Felix Louis Njai. I don't know if I'm saying it right. N'Jai. Njai. Never to be seen again. So I want to take a moment to remember him. By all accounts, a really cool guy. Loved kids, was somebody always goofing around, was a kite surfer, an athlete, an entrepreneur. We lost a good one. Anyway, he's being identified by friends and by the kite surfing magazine. So, you always see the initial report, a swimmer attacked by shark. You never really get that follow-up of who that person was. Speaking of death, and we talked about Senator Dianne Feinstein. Did you know, because I didn't know this, she's probably got her hands on so many things that I don't realize, that she founded the annual air show and Fleet Week as mayor of San Francisco in 1981. Yeah, she's the reason we have the Blue Angels in San Francisco. Some people love it, some people hate it, but it's been a big boon for business in the city. Can't deny that. This year, Fleet Week features a special tribute to the late Senator Dianne Feinstein. The entire air show is dedicated to her. On Saturday and Sunday at 12:57 p.m., the Patriots jet team, a civil aerobatic formation team, will fly over the city. Why is this making me emotional? To commemorate Feinstein's contribution to San Francisco, and they will fly in a missing woman formation. Oh, I don't know. This is the stupidest thing. I don't know why I get emotional about these things. That is so nice. It's usually a missing man formation, but they're doing a missing woman formation. What a tribute. 2.5-minute non-aerobatic flyby, also known as the missing man formation. We're calling it the missing woman formation, okay, this time. Jets fly in formation until one breaks off and flies upward as a salute, leaving an empty space in the formation. The maneuvers are performed with crisp white smoke trailing from behind the jets. The formation is flown for fallen aviators and military members, as well as other important figures. And it is, says the Patriots jet team, the ultimate symbol of respect for a loved one. What a great tribute for Dianne Feinstein. But I didn't realize that she's the reason we have that in the first place. So, another story I wanted to talk to you guys about is Julia Ormond, this actress she says she was attacked by Harvey Weinstein. and I believe her. Guys, more than a pervert, a predator, right? But she's suing Disney, and she's suing CAA, the Creative Artist Agency, and she's suing Miramax because she says they are and were enablers of Harvey Weinstein's. So I won't get into what he did to her, allegedly. You can imagine, right? The guy is convicted of sexual assault. And it's gross. And I don't want to get into the details because we all have an imagination. Just think of what you wouldn't want to have happen to your wife, if you're a man, your daughter, or if you're a woman even, whatever. You wouldn't want to happen to a loved one. Ormond says in the lawsuit she told her agents at the time about the assault by Weinstein, and the CAA agents cautioned her about speaking out. One of them is now the co-chairman of the CAA, which is a heavyweight agency in Hollywood. They're mentioned several times in this lawsuit. Ormond's lawsuit also accuses Miramax, the company Weinstein founded with his brother Bob, and Disney, which owned Miramax in the 1990s, of negligent supervision and retention. The suit citing numerous former Miramax and Disney executives, including Disney's former CEO, Michael Eisner, and former chairman, Jeffrey Katzenberg. Neither are defendants, but are both cited in this case. And this is, I think, interesting. Ormond says this in an interview with Variety magazine. Ormond said she was speaking out to incite systemic change in Hollywood. She said, "I'm coming forward with my story now, publicly, because I feel as if we still need systemic change, and I feel that we need accountability from enablers in order to get there. And I feel that's what's happened to me." She said, obviously Harvey Weinstein's in jail and he's going to be there for a very long time. And she said, "I personally don't believe Harvey could have done this without enablers. And for me," she said, "that is the layer that you have to get down to in terms of the root cause." The lawsuit she filed says the assault could have been prevented by Disney, Miramax, and CAA, and that it inflicted catastrophic damage on her career and her relationships, and that in the years after the assault, she nearly disappeared from the public eye. Sad, because she was a great actress. Ormond told Variety friends checked in on her over the years. Journalists have frequently asked her, "What happened to you?" She said, "I don't presume this happened because people wanted it to happen, but it happened nevertheless, and it wasn't stopped, and there should have been structures in place to stop it." It's so, we don't think about what she called the enablers, and she's so right. So right. Because Harvey Weinstein was making them money. And he was a bigwig, right? And so people look the other way. Companies look the other way. Even her own agent said, "Listen, Julia, look the other way." All along the way, people knew and didn't stop him. And she is so right to get to the root cause of it. And I'm so glad that she's filing this lawsuit. And there will be people that say, "Oh, she's doing it for the money. She just wants to enrich herself." But I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think she's doing it because she's right. If you look at what happened there, who's at fault? Obviously, Weinstein, the attacker, alleged and also proven in some cases, right? But what allowed him to get away with it? So I get it. Going after the enablers is a very powerful thing. And I hope that she gets an assload of money, because that is what will lead them to change the way they do things. That is the only way that things like that change, and that people like Weinstein won't be allowed to victimize others in the future. Because there's always going to be another one of these guys coming along, a pervy perv, right? Predator in his case. The lawsuit says CAA, the company, the agency, Miramax, and Disney continue to handsomely profit from their close association with Harvey Weinstein for many years after Ormond was assaulted by him and then cast aside by Hollywood. But the damage to Ormond and so many other women Harvey Weinstein went on to assault, harass, has yet to be fully understood. Good. File suit, and I hope you win. And it's that whole enabler thing that made me want to tell you that story. It's not a perspective that I often think. I often just think of the criminal, not the enabler, but I have to change my perspective on that. Speaking of actresses, though, Helen Mirren, big backlash over her role that she was given as Golda. I just go back to this thing where it's acting. You pick the best actor for the job, and a gay person can act straight, and a straight person can act gay. It's a little harder to if you're trying to for color, right? It's a little harder for someone to be a race that they're not. But in this case, where Helen Mirren was given this role of Golda Meir, former Prime Minister of Israel, and she apparently is amazing in the role. I don't know why people are so upset that it didn't go to a Jewish woman. It went to an actress, because actors are capable of putting themselves in a whole different life and a whole different, I don't know, body almost. In this role, Mirren had to put on a bunch of facial prosthetics, totally changing the look of her. And I think that's okay to do that, to make yourself look more like the historical character you're playing. But she's facing this big backlash because she's not Jewish, and apparently they thought a Jewish actress should have been given this role. But why? You're acting. That means you don't have to be Jewish, right? And again, further, you don't have to be gay to play a gay person. I've seen roles where it's a person of Arab descent played by someone of Latino descent, but it works. And if the actor can make you believe that the character they're presenting is real, or if you buy into the story and the character, that's what it is. It's all play pretend anyway. No, I don't get the criticism here. The Guardian had this article, and David Badiel was writing about why this is wrong. He said, at a time when it is now commonplace assumption for a non-black actor will not play a black character, Jews are not afforded the same protections as other marginalized groups. It's because of appearance. I mean, hello? He wrote, it's about Jews being assumed anti-Semitically to be successful and privileged and powerful, and therefore not in need of the protections that identify politics that politics affords other minorities. In the case of casting, he said it falls down as well. Well, he said, Jews are everywhere in showbiz, so Jewish actors don't need that leg up. He said it's odd then that so many Jewish parts are not cast with Jewish actors, even when the characters and storylines are very Jewish indeed. Why, if there are so many Jews in showbiz, as Gary Oldman is cast as Herman Mankiewicz, or Rachel Brosnahan as Mrs. Maisel, Did the makers of the recent BBC drama Ridley Road about anti-Semitism in London after the war have to scrabble around after I pointed out the lack of Jews in the cast, saying that the female actor playing the main character had just discovered she had one Jewish grandfather? He said, why are the four main characters of the only recognizably Jewish sitcom on British TV all played by non-Jews? And, okay. He said they're not getting the Jewish jobs. Mirren said she told the director that she's not Jewish and that if it was an issue, she'd step away from the project, no problem. But he said, no, not an issue. I want you to play Golda. And so she said, off we went. Is that bad? I don't think it's bad. Listen, if the Jewish actress is better than Helen Mirren, by all means, cast the person. But if Helen Mirren can play the role believably and well, and better than anybody else can, give her the job. Like I said, I mean, it comes down to, appearance. Could Helen Mirren play a Maya Angelou? Probably not. But this works, and so why are we upset about it? I'm going to the chat for this one. Let me see what you guys have to say. Jim. Good morning, Jim Liu. He says, Jewish is not a race. There are many Israelites who look a certain way, but there are black Jews and Chinese Jews. Okay. Yeah. Lori says David Badiel wrote a book called Jews Don't Count about how they don't seem to count anti-Semitism as racism. It's all hate though, isn't it? Right. I have his book and get his point, but I think he's off base here. Yeah, it seems to me that too. The Lady Beatrice writing today, what gets me is that anyone who speaks out or seeks accountability as a victim of the attacker, talking about Weinstein, is taking a big risk with their career, and there needs to be protection from those repercussions. I fully agree with you. Absolutely. Yeah. Flo, who is in the performing arts industry, shall I say. Hi, Flo. This issue comes up in so many instances in the cultural milieu of acting, performing arts for years. I always want actors to be of the heritage for the real life character. But it's not going to. Yeah. It just always doesn't work out that way. Right? Leon Springer, hi Leon, says Ingrid Bergman starred as Golda in 1980 on a mini-series. In her final role, she was Swedish, remember? In 1980, things were a little different. But, I would say this one doesn't bother me. And I hope that doesn't mean that I'm being anti-Semitic. I think that man who wrote the article might think that's the case. It isn't. I don't hate anybody. I love all people. I want everybody to get the due they have coming to them. But in the case of play pretending and acting, I think that's the whole point of acting, right? You're all pretending. So I don't know why we have to be specific when we're casting. Jennifer says it's the same complaints that plagued the show Miss Saigon, and that I kind of agree with the complaints. All right. There's a case to be made for sure. Luis writes, I would have been offended if it had gone to a crappy actress. And I say that being Latino. Hamilton was awesome. It would be stupid to say they all should have been white guys, even though historically the characters they play were indeed white. But I think that's the whole point of that show, right? And writing it from a different perspective. Absolutely. Lori says, wonder if they're saying someone can look Jewish. And isn't that anti-Semitic? I don't know. Lori says it's stupid. They should be happy to have such a great actress in this role. The other Scandinavian actress, yeah, we just talked about that, whose name I can't remember, was a great Golda. Like I said, if they make you believe, if they pull you along into the story, yes. Yes. That's what it's about. Vilma, if Arabs and Jews and Italians sometimes can play Mexicans, then one woman who is non-Jewish can play a Jewish woman. They are actors. They are performing a job. Yeah, they're pretending to be somebody else. So, Brian says this rabbi, you're a rabbi, Brian, that's cool, has no problem with the actress playing the role of Golda. Well, that makes me feel better. Thank you. I appreciate that, Brian. Thanks for your perspective on that. I want to see this movie. I'm sure it's going to be really, really good. And I think a movie like this, and again, I haven't seen it. I don't know whether it puts Golda in a positive light or not. I would assume it does. You know, people all have their flaws. Even the Margaret Thatcher movie showed, like, oh, he was kind of mean in some cases, right? Or kind of off a rocker in others. But tells a true perspective and lets us know who these people were. So I hope that it's historically accurate. And I hope what the point of the movie is to let us know more about who Golda was and why she's important to the world. So if Helen Mirren can help us do that, then I'm all for it. Absolutely. I have a perspective. I was thinking about reading that story, though. Here's a fun one. This story is about old people never giving up. And we talked a little bit about it with the Lady Beatrice about going back to school and being a student at an older age. And well done, Lady Beatrice, on that. There's this woman who is 104 years old, and she wants to be the world's oldest skydiver. No joke. No joke. Kind of a cool thing. Let me see if I can play you this video. Kind of a cool thing. I love that she is still living at 104 years old. Now, if she's my grandmother, I'm thinking, Grandma, this might not be such a good idea. You're going to break a hip or a knee or a femur or whatever. But at 104 years old, I mean, hey, take the life experience, right? Let's listen. Here she is, doing her thing.
How are we doing today?
Just fine.
Nice. What have we got ourselves into?
That's a good question.
Right? Are you excited for what we're doing today?
Yes,
Nice.
I love it.
And there she is, tandem skydiving. Yeah. So look at that, 104 years old, out there having the experience of a lifetime. I've never done that. I honestly wouldn't want to do that. But I see that why it would be so thrilling and so, having adrenaline curse through your body. I get it. I do get it. 104 years old. Yeah. And she wants to be the oldest person, the oldest skydiver. So this happened in Chicago, I believe is where this woman was located. And she's aiming for the record as the world's oldest skydiver. They said she left her walker on the ground, and her name is Dorothy Hoffner. She said age is just a number. And she did this skydive Sunday at Skydive Chicago. Oh, it's in Ottawa. Okay. So it's about 85 miles southwest of Chicago. The Guinness World Record for oldest skydiver was set in May of 2022 by a 103-year-old person from Sweden. But Skydive Chicago is working to have the Guinness World Records certify Hoffner's jump as the new record. So she first skydived when she was 100 years old. This means to me that here I am in my middle age doing my thing as being a mom and doing all this stuff and thinking I never want to do any of this. I could change my mind. If I live to be into my 90s or my 80s, if I live to be 100, I could think to myself, I've never been skydiving at 100 years old. Maybe it's time. What have I got to lose? I'm gonna die soon anyway. Might as well jump. Might as well live a little. So her first skydive was when she's 100. She left her walker behind just short of the plane and was helped up the steps to join everybody inside. She said as the plane took off, let's go, Geronimo. She said when she first skydived, she had to be pushed out of the aircraft. But on Sunday, when she was hooked up to this certified instructor leading the jump, she looked calm and confident when the door opened and was happy to do it. Flying free fall with her belly facing the ground. That dive lasted 7 minutes, including the parachute slow descent to the ground. And it was a kind of a nice landing. She pushed her legs up and plopped softly onto the grassy landing area. We saw that. Looked like a nice little landing. Some rushed over with her walker as she got up. She said it was wonderful up there. The whole thing was delightful, wonderful, and could not have been better. Mrs. Hoffner is going to turn 105 in December, and she said she might take a ride in a hot air balloon next. I love her. 104 years old. She's not giving up on life. Living. She's got it going on. What do you hope for yourself when you're really old? And I don't just mean kind of old, because most of us are kind of old, getting older. But I mean really old. Like so old that your contemporaries are mostly have either passed on or are in a nursing home, being pushed around. What do you hope for yourself? If you're able to do those things, do you want to go do them? Or do you want to be very rigid and protect your health and safety and live as long as possible? Because I would argue at 104, take the risk. Is that wrong of me to say that? Take the risk. You've lived to 104 years old. So jump out of the plane. Eat the gas station sushi if you want. Do all the crazy ass things that you can do and live your life. Vilma says, I'm probably old enough to be your mom, but I hope you were saying I haven't given up on life, period. Everyone tells me I don't act my age. I act the way I feel, and I hope I live involved in life for the rest of my life. Excellent. I'm so glad to hear it. Now, I really like you a lot, Vilma, and I don't want to see you risk your health and safety yet. But when you get to the point where, you've lived longer than you expected to, if then you want to take the risks, go get it, sister. Absolutely. Funny. Spencer says maybe at that age what? Oh, if you were 104, maybe you'd start taking the risks. Yeah. Lori writes, it's an easy death. Hey, at 104, you could get sick in your bed and suffer, or you could go skydiving and, one accident and bammo. Not saying that I want her to have an accident. I'm just saying, it's a different perspective when you look at it. Flo says, when I'm old or lucky to make 104 like Dorothy, I want to be financially secure and travel like James Bond. Rock on, Flo. Ellen writing, years ago, the Blue Angels used to fly over Moffett Field. When they came down to the ground, everyone tan or laid down out of fear. looked like they were headed straight for you. Yeah, it scared me in San Francisco. One time they flew when I was living in the city. They flew so low over my apartment, and it was like right after September 11th. I seriously thought we were under attack. And I remember, like as if this would do anybody any good, flattening myself against my bedroom wall. I was working the overnight shift at KGO, and I woke up as they rumbled over my house, and it was loud. And I was flat against the wall, just from sleeping to flattening against the wall, as if that was going to save me. I don't know. But that was probably the most scared I've been. And then realized, oh, I've been reporting on the Blue Angels all week. Got it. Yes, that's what that was. Yeah, it can be kind of scary. I've had that as well. Those feelings as well. Lori says, I want an easy death. I don't really want to live that long. Hey, if if you're living like Dorothy at 104, you're able to get onto a plane and jump out of it. That's living. But if I'm 104 and drooling on myself and my brain is long gone, that's not living. So it depends on the quality of life, right? I think if I could choose, I would want to live just long enough before I mentally check out or I'm physically in excruciating agony every day. If that can't be fixed, I don't want to be doped up on pain meds, although I realize people live with chronic pain all the time. But if I'm old and getting to the point where that's never getting better, like really old, 90s old, right? But if I'm in my 90s, I had my stepmother's grandfather, who I consider to be my great-grandfather, was the loveliest person. One of these people with an extended family, and I wasn't technically his grandchild, but he made me feel like I was. He was such a wonderful man. And he was a city engineer, or an engineer for Caltrans, designed a lot of the freeways around Southern California. And he lived in Pasadena. And even at the age of 95, he was going to planning commission meetings and driving himself to all these meetings and talking about freeways and sharing his expertise. And he was mentally with it and sharp and lovely up to the day he broke his hip. And then it was like a couple weeks later he died. But he was in his 90s and doing great. So if that's the way that it works out, fine. But if I get to my 90s and I'm not really with it and my quality of life is bad, then yeah, I don't know if that's not really living, is it? SF Tesla, then you have the stuff to dodge while diving about the clouds. Yeah, that's what everybody wants. It's true. I'm not alone. We all want to live as well as we can live until the last possible moment. Spencer writing, when I worked in San Francisco, the Blue Angels were flying through the buildings in downtown San Francisco. Yeah. Needing a walker is a big clue. It's just because she needs a little stability and balance, I don't know if that means that she's in pain or, she's slowing down, 104. Maybe she's, doesn't have the balance she once had, but that doesn't mean that she's not living a good life, right? John Watson writing, I want to die before other people are wiping my rear end for me, unless, of course, I'm so rich that I have wipers like the prince in Coming to America. Even if I had that much money, I don't want anyone touching me but me. Square says, blood, sweat, and tears, and when I die, pretty much says it all. Yeah. But I think that's inspiring, honestly, to see somebody like that doing these things. Okay, last story before we get to the Mark Thompson show today. I saw this, and it reminded me of something I was talking about actually yesterday on the Mark Thompson show. I was mentioned that I recently bought my daughter's first high school yearbook. It was $95 for a yearbook. But you have to order it online. And so you go to the website, Jostens, and at checkout, first of all, they try to trick you. And they click on all these extras that are like automatically filled in unless you uncheck the box. So you get to the checkout cart and it says, oh, you are paying $7 to have your child's name imprinted on the book, and another $7 to have a plastic cover for the yearbook, and another blah, blah, blah for this feature. No. Go back, uncheck, uncheck, uncheck. But how, if you weren't paying attention and they just automatically check those boxes, you bought all this extraneous stuff you didn't need. But one thing that I couldn't uncheck was a fee. And it's only a $5 fee just to use their website. What is the principle of the thing? You want me to pay you for the privilege of being able to buy something on your website? Really? Outrageous. Just another way to suck money away from people. And I know this is a different type of story, but it just kind of reminded me of that. In Singapore, you have to pay for the privilege of being able to buy a car. You can't just go out and buy a car. You have to cough up a bunch of money first. It's a 10-year certificate of entitlement, a license that people in Singapore have to purchase before they're even allowed to buy a vehicle. And it now costs a record minimum of $76,000. This is just for a sedan, more than 4 times what it did in 2020. So you pay your $76,000 and all that gives you is the right to buy a standard category A car, a small to medium sized engine of 1600 cc's or below. If you want an SUV, something a little bigger, well, that permit is $106,630 for a category B license. It also has gone up. That's before you even buy the car. It makes me grateful. You know, we complain about taxes for gas and taxes for roads. In Singapore, they've got to pay a minimum of $76,000, upwards of $106,000 for the privilege of buying a vehicle. Wow. Yeah. They have this quota system introduced in 1990, and they did it to minimize traffic and reduce emissions in, they say, a space-starved city-state home to 5.9 million. They have a great public transportation network there. But what they've done is they've made it so expensive that the average citizen in Singapore can't afford to buy a car. It's out of reach for them. The median monthly household income in Singapore is $7,300 some odd dollars. They said, car dealers say, listen, sales have already been so poor. This on top of that will be worse for business with the rising prices of the permit. And so people are rethinking whether they want to have cars. And maybe if we're trying to get people away from cars and onto public transit, making things so expensive that no one but the ultra wealthy can afford them is the only way to wean people off of their vehicles. I'm not saying that's right or equitable, but that's what they're doing in Singapore. So very interesting. Okay, some last comments from you guys. Jennifer says, I think Singapore is a blue zone. Lots of walking and biking. A blue zone is a place where a lot of people, they have congregations of people that are living past 100. Even Newsom isn't that extreme, right? Ahula Steph, Helen Mirren as Golda looks like my Romanian Jewish relatives. Excellent. And Randy writing, something like that would never work in the United States. Oh, there would be outrage, Randy, for sure. We already have cars here anyway. They can't do it to us now. Right? All right. Okay, so if you're here, please click the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Those are the free things that you can do. And we're grateful for that support. If you would like to participate in our 1-year anniversary celebratory raffle, you only have a few more days to do it. Here's the information. It's $20 to participate. You contribute the $20 by going to paypal.com and emailing the Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com. Different from our website, right? The Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com. $20. Then Nikki will email you a confirmation and you will be entered into the raffle to win a box of her favorite things. And I have to tell you, she's been working really hard to compile and curate and put the best stuff in there for you. And this is going to be a really cool box of things worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So $20 1-year anniversary fundraiser, and there is all the information. So again, different than the website, the PayPal address, once you go to paypal.com, the Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com. Now, also, we do have the website, and it is the NikkiMedoroShow.com, not at gmail.com, but .com. And you'll find the Patreon link there, and really, that's how this show is surviving. So thank you for all the people, to all the people that contribute and support us. You guys are amazing. Conversation really lovely today, and I have to tell you, I'm very excited to have Nikki back tomorrow. Love that she left me the video to play today, and excited to be back with her again tomorrow. So I will see you here on Friday, and please join me next for the Mark Thompson Show. If you haven't seen the show, it's a lot of fun. Mark is really fun. And so we have David Katz on the show today. So a lot to look forward to with the Mark Thompson Show. And I thank you for being here. So I will, one thing I wanted to mention. I got really lucky yesterday, and I got the chance to meet one of our viewers who happened to be in Petaluma, which is where I live. And she was working, but she made time after work just for a quick hello. So I ran over to her workplace, Janet, and we had a quick hug and a quick hello. And what an absolute treat to meet her. So I just wanted to say, love this chat community. You guys are awesome. And yesterday I was lucky enough to meet one of you guys. So Janet, what a pleasure to meet you. All right, here we go. Here's Jacob. And thank you guys for being here today on the Nikki Medoro Show.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.